From Los Angeles, California, this is Unsugarcoated with Alia, bringing you interviews with public figures and inspirational people speaking on self-improvement with empowering themes. And I'm your host, Alia Lanius. Oh my goodness, we are here for another episode of Unsugarcoated with Alia. We have an amazing live audience that is not a recording that you're hearing. I want to give it up for my amazing audience who's been here today. Thank you. Give yourselves a round of applause. Yes, yes, yes. Oh my goodness. I'm going to quote Nicki Minaj and say, I believe life is a prize. Knowing our worth, knowing our value. When we go out there and get a job, we are asked to determine what we're going to ask for. What do we want? So do you struggle with knowing your own worth? Do you see your value? Well, we have an amazing guest today who's going to talk all about that, and I'm very excited to do so. On that subject, do we have a society that teaches us what it means to know our worth? Well, we went out on the street again. As you know, we like to have fun, get out there, talk to people, and we have another amazing segment to share with you. And of course, we call it Word on the Street, asking people, do they know their worth? Let's take a look. Hey guys, we are here in downtown Culver City today, talking to people about knowing their worth. Were you taught it? Do you know it? Let's see what they had to say. Do you feel that society prepares us to know our worth?
Not all the time as women. Like, a lot of women are afraid to ask for more money. They are taught to just work harder and harder, and then people will give you the raise when you've earned it. But that's never the case. Right. You have to ask for it. Even if you have earned it, you still have to ask, because people are going to try to pay you as little as they
rates were already set. So actually that was not something I had to do, and it's something I wish I had learned. The art of negotiation, I've had to learn it later in my life, and I've learned it both the helpful way and the hard way. And I think it's super important for people to be aware of negotiation and knowing your worth.
From my perspective, black people are always undervalued. Undervalued, underappreciated, thought about. And if you don't assert yourself, you're going to be at the bottom of the rail. And because you have to be able to assert yourself to get the right wages.
My name is Jennifer, and I'm unsugarcoated.
My name is Maida Valentic, and I am definitely unsugarcoated.
Thank you. Thank you for letting me talk.
No, thank you, and thank you so much for being unsugarcoated. So you get out there in the world, and you decide you are valuable. You do know your worth, but how do you ask for it? Well, we've invited a man to share his story, and I'm very, very excited for you to learn a little bit more about him. Let's check it out. He is the undisputed greatest agent of all time, and New England Patriots owner Robert Kraft says he is the pioneer of athletic representation in the modern era. Lee Steinberg. Many know him to be the source of inspiration for the iconic 90s Oscar-winning film Jerry Maguire, starring Tom Cruise as a sports agent in crisis. But in 1996, Lee was not in crisis. In fact, back then, he was on the ride of his life, and over the course of an illustrious career, he has represented 64 NFL first-round picks, including a record 8 number 1 overall NFL draft selections. He wrote the best-selling book, Winning with Integrity, providing insight on how to improve life through non-confrontational negotiation. And Lee's most recent book, The Agent, My 40-Year Career of Making Deals and Changing the Game, details his decades of dominance in the sports industry and sheds light on overcoming his personal struggles to launch his comeback. Lee has been rated the 6th most powerful person in the NFL, according to Football Digest, and the 16th most powerful person in sports, according to Sporting News. Here to discuss his journey and knowing your worth, ladies and gentlemen, please welcome Mr. Lee Steinberg. Just so much. Please have a seat. Oh my goodness, you are an extremely busy man, but we are so grateful and thankful to have you here today. You know, the intro talked quite a bit about your NFL representation, but in truth, you've actually represented, athletes and coaches in the football, basketball, baseball, hockey, boxing, and golf. Is there any area that you don't represent, out of curiosity?
No, we actually represented Olympic athletes. Brian Boitano, who was an ice skater that won the gold medal, and then Kerry Strug, who had a broken leg and stuck a vault to win the gold medal for the U.S. back in Atlanta.
That's incredible. Is there something particular that you look for with an athlete that you want to represent? What is it that makes you say, that's somebody I need to be an agent for?
So it's interesting you say that, because we profile athletes, looking for work ethic, looking for self-discipline, but also looking for character and the nature of their heart, whether or not they're willing to be a role model. So I ask these athletes to go back to the high school community that helped shape them and establish a scholarship fund or work with a Boys and Girls Club or a church, lay down roots, and then go to the collegiate institution. So a Troy Aikman endowed a full scholarship at UCLA and bond with those alums. And then at the professional level, set up a charitable foundation with leading business figures, political figures, and community leaders that will execute a program. So that's work done putting the 200th single mother and her family in the first home they'll ever own by making the down payment and having it outfitted. It's Patrick Mahomes helping kids that don't have money for school lunches. It's athletes making a difference.
I love that. Do you feel that to whom much is given, much is required? Is that,
I think that athletes have a unique opportunity as well as a responsibility to try to make a difference in the world. So I took the heavyweight champion in boxing, Lennox Lewis, and we had him cut a public service announcement that said, "Real men don't hit women." And that could do more to trigger imitative behavior, especially in rebellious adolescents, than 1,000 authority figures ever could in terms of domestic violence and how to treat women.
Yeah, I mean, obviously, when you do think of the sports world, you hear quite often athletes that get themselves into some trouble doing things they shouldn't be doing. And I think one of the conversations is that it's such an aggressive industry. You're taught to be this fighter or this warrior or this opponent. And so do you feel that there's a training that comes with that? Do they have to to increase our emotional intelligence, we have to learn how to do that? Do you guide any of these people on that journey?
Well, the best cure for aberrational behavior is prevention. And so before an athlete ever gets to the pros, we talk about not drinking and driving. We talk about not being in a public place where alcohol is served and getting into a fight. We talk about the proper way to deal with everyone and not raise your hands in anger towards anybody, but especially women. And we try to make sure that they understand they're living in a professional sport that's not bread and butter on the table. Fans have a choice whether or not they go to a game, whether or not they buy memorabilia, and if you're not interested in being an exemplary role model, go play on a sandlot.
Right.
No one will pay you, but no one will tell you what to do.
So true. Well, you obviously have this amazing background, right? And Jerry Maguire, often largely people attribute the inspiration to you, but you yourself had said that Jerry Maguire was never intended to be a biographical film about you personally. And in fact, at that time, you were not in crisis. You were living this amazing life, doing these incredible things. But eventually, crisis did come to your life, and there were things that you felt you had to change or adjust in your own life. What can you share about those moments? Was there something significant that made you say, these choices are not working for me and I'm gonna change myself?
So my problem, Aaliyah, was alcohol. And I came to a point where I had to break denial about the fact that it was hampering my life. And proportionality is what did it for me. I was sitting in my parents' house and realized I wasn't a starving peasant in Darfur. I didn't have the last name Steinberg in Nazi Germany. I didn't have cancer or anything wrong, and my dad had brought me up with 2 core values: treasure relationships, especially family, and make a meaningful difference in the world and help people who couldn't help themselves. And I was not being true to those things, so I went off to sober living, worked a 12-step program, and I'm now in my 13th year of continuous sobriety.
I appreciate that so much, and I appreciate you being vulnerable with us. And you, as you have before, I believe that you've said in one interview in 2010, you went into sober living and have said that if nothing else, you would be sober and a good father.
Right, because at the end of the day, my career was something that I knew I could do. But could I stay sober? And could I be a consistent parent to my kids? And really, that's my comeback.
Right. Now, so on that question, I guess to a certain degree, we look back at life and people often say, well, do you have any regrets? I don't know if anyone else in here has a regret in their life, but do you consider yourself to have any regrets, or do you just feel like they've been part of your journey?
Well, look, I wish that I had not turned to alcohol. I had a series of events happen where my father died of cancer. My 2 kids were diagnosed with retinitis pigmentosa, which is a disease that leads to blindness. I thought somehow I could protect them, but I couldn't. And we lost a home due to mold. And I felt like, what's next in this Jobian type of down spiral? Locust, river of blood. So I wish that hadn't happened, but here's the point: life's going to knock us all back. You're going to have frustrations, you're going to have reverses. And what's critical is the ability to be resilient, to visualize the light at the end of the tunnel, to be able to see past the detritus and destruction that I loaded on myself, and be able to see a better future.
Agreed. I mean, and to that point, that's one thing I love about athletes. I think you consistently go through trauma, and then you've got to get back on the field, right? And there's the physical and emotional toll that we put on ourselves, but how can we move past that? And I agree with you, focusing on our resiliency is such an incredible superpower. So, with regards to knowing your worth, knowing your value, you have somebody who's gone, let's have one version where they're just starting out. They know their value, they're ready to go. How does somebody negotiate with integrity the value that they feel that they should be compensated for, or even just valued at?
So the most important skill is listening. It's being able to draw out another human being and understand, at the end of the day, cut below the surface, peel back the layer of the onion, and be able to tune in to someone else's deepest anxieties and fears and their greatest hopes and dreams. If you can see the world the way the other person sees it, and put yourself in the head of that general manager, put yourself in the head of whoever you're negotiating with, and figure out what's a win for them. What can you have commonality on? How can you have both parties walk away happy? So part of this is research. It's to understand, is there a market? Are other people doing things similarly situated? What are they making? What is the revenue base of the activity you're dealing with? And what creates a win both for your own client, and get that person to focus, or if you're negotiating yourself, on prioritizing on a list. Something has to be more important than something else. Is it short-term economic gain? Is it long-term economic security? Is it geographical location? Is it family? Is it autonomy? Is it having a corner office? But you need to prioritize prior to going into that so that you can best focus on what's most critically important to you.
When you say that, it makes me think, I don't know about the audience, but I know for me, money is not everything. You make a good point. What is it that is important to you? Money is not always my driving factor. money's not always my driving factor because of just where I've come from. I've had nothing, so to have something is cool. But I mean, I even think of Rockefeller and people who had great sums of money, but then they came to a point in life where they realized their legacy was more important, right? So it's interesting that you bring that up. Let's talk about a person that has had injuries. So it's like your job is to always get the best dollar traditionally for your client, right? Well, when they've had some injuries, they've had broken bones, or maybe they're getting older, how do you enter that conversation? Is it still just the same principles applied, or in justifying when they give pushback of like, your player's not so valuable now because of this? How do you reinforce that, no, my player still has value, my player still has worth?
By doing research and showing how that player has statistically performed, the most touchdown passes, the best quarterback rating, or how they've been honored by the league. You know, they're all pro, there's something else. So it's making sure you have the best sense of exactly how that player compares to other people. And guess what? They didn't get hurt hang gliding or going to Club Med. They got hurt doing exactly what you asked them to do, which was to play for the team. So you have to have a concept. There's a couple ways to negotiate. One is you just bang away for more money. But if I can sell you on the concept that this aging athlete really still has value, and baseball or football or basketball are games in which, people get hurt, and especially in football, and we have to accept the risk both sides.
So, I want to ask, because there is also the conversation about females in sports, right? They say tickets don't sell, there's not as much value. Do you see a landscape where female athletes are valued as much as male players? And I also want to say, I think that there are a lot of parallels. We're talking about players, but real people, kind of have the same issues in their own life. So I love when you're able to speak to the parallels. But I mean, as far as women looking to gain more for the value they bring in their industries and marketplaces and sports, do you see it changing?
It really is a television question in some way. It's a tautology. Women's sports are not as popular because they're not on television as much. Well, if you put them on television, they would be more popular. And so it's the revenue base is so much TV money. Now, in the case of the women's soccer team, they are as big a draw as the men's soccer team, and they just were able to get parity. So parity based on the economics the sport develops. But I think it's very exciting that we have women. The problem is the most popular sport in this country today is the NFL.
Right.
And after that, college football. And you don't have women playing football. But to the extent that women's volleyball or gymnastics are really exciting, and women's soccer is, these women are rock stars.
Absolutely. What is your favorite thing about establishing, the player? We're all familiar with the scene of Show Me the Money and Jerry Maguire, but what is it that is your favorite feeling or thing that comes about when you get somebody what they want?
Really, the most solid feeling is laying the foundation for second career. So, suppose you have players on the San Francisco 49ers. Well, Santa Clara is where their training center is. So you ask those players, can you think of any businesses that are in that area? Well, high tech, Silicon Valley, venture capital. So it's not by chance that an athlete networking out in that community, Brent Jones, retired tight end for the 49ers, has like a $4 billion hedge fund. So it's helping athletes be successful. It's also watching the way in which their charitable and community things grow. So Warren Moon has a Crescent Moon Scholarship Fund where he sends kids that wouldn't be able to come to college on their scholarships. It's seeing how you've enhanced the lives of young men and young women.
Yeah. Do you feel like you have enhanced the lives of young men and women?
It's hard to say about yourself, but I would hope that that I've been a positive impact. And again, that's the value. How have you enhanced or stimulated the best in young men and women, and then what impact have they made in the world?
Right. And I feel like a lot of people don't recognize the impact we can make. It can be simple or it can be grand. Do you go about I mean, I know that you're about social impact incredibly. You speak on it, you write books about it. But what is the strongest messaging that you have to the world today about social impact, especially considering we've just gone through, a pandemic? You have a lot of people, everything is up, alcoholism, drug addiction, suicides, unfortunately. What is your focus right now when it comes to messaging in the social impact space?
So whether it's bullying or domestic violence or sex trafficking or drugs or racism or the environment, we all have the ability to impact issues like that in our own time, in our own way. Parenting kids is a valuable contribution to the society. If you just stimulated and brought them up with unconditional love and gave them good values. But I had a dad who'd say, when you see a problem and you're waiting for the they or them to fix it, the amorphous they, older people, political figures, he'd say, you could wait forever. The they is you, son. You are the they. So we're all the they. We all have the capacity in our own time, in our own way. So not simply say those problems are too big. But whatever your passion is, go make a difference. Feel like you can change the world for the better, and that your time on this earth meant understanding the pain of other people and reacting to that and helping them.
That is incredible. I think everyone should give a round of applause to that, because I definitely agree with that. I agree. There is so much to be done, and I really appreciate. Look, I want to ask you one last question with regards to the person also out there that has just really, struggled. In fact, I'm assuming that sometimes you've had athletes that they're like, oh man, I just don't know if I can do this. In those moments when you've had somebody say, I don't know if I can do this, I don't know if I can live up to these expectations and things of that nature, what is your response? What does your huddle moment look like?
You've been preparing for this your whole life, and you are uniquely talented and gifted, and you've been blessed with this talent, and then you've reinforced it by endless hours of work and practice and preparation. This is your moment. This is your time. You can do this. Rise to the challenge. You're going to be great.
Oh my goodness, I love that. Thank you, because you know what? I felt like you were talking to me. Did you guys feel like he was talking to you? Because that is some serious. I can't. I really appreciate that. Okay, well, we're going to give one audience member the opportunity to ask you a question. So we're going to get the mic for her, and we have our lovely audience member right up front and center.
So you said one of the primary principal qualities that you look for in the athletes that you represent is integrity. Would you say that that's your legacy, that your athletes pass that on so that they provide that also in every aspect of their life?
Thank you for your question. Living with integrity is partially understanding the power that all the symbols of popular culture have on people in the world. And so if my legacy is athletes who made a difference, what we're modeling is the quality of character and the ability to solve problems. We're not modeling athletic skill, but we are trying to send a message to the rest of the society that every person can make a difference and that athletes can.
Amazing. Thank you so much. I appreciate that. All right, well, we have a fun little game. We're going to lighten it up just a little bit. We're going to quiz you on some sports trivia. Do you guys think we have the right person? You think he might be able to answer some sports questions?
We had Jay Leno at our Super Bowl party, and he came and asked his stupid sports questions, and so I got him right, and he said, well, we can't use this, because all they wanted was people giving ridiculously inappropriate answers.
Well, thankfully, we do not mind if you know them. In fact, I would be surprised if you don't know it. But I bet you, I wonder if the audience will know them. That'll be interesting to see. So here we go. What is the only sport to be played on the moon?
Golf.
Yes, of course. Yes. See? Okay, how much does an NFL football weigh?
2 pounds?
1 pound.
1 pound.
1 pound, but close.
Well, my ball weighs 2 pounds.
He's like, you have a special ball. I get it, totally. Which NFL team has their logo located only on one side of their helmet?
Okay, that is obscure. The Raiders.
No, but close. The Pittsburgh Steelers. No, I'm teasing. No, I actually, no, I promise we did not do these to like stump you. But they are good questions, right? I had a list and I said, I like these ones. Okay, who was the first NBA player to shatter a backboard?
Wilt Chamberlain?
No, Chuck Connors.
The rifleman?
See, okay, so Jay Leno would be so upset right now, but I'm teasing.
No, he'd love these wrong answers.
Okay, last question. What are the 2 states in the United States that have yet to send a team to the NCAA?
The 2 states? Mm-hmm. Alaska and Hawaii?
No, Maine.
Maine.
Yes, but you did so good. Oh my goodness, thank you for playing. Let me tell you how many I would have gotten right. None. I would have gotten none right. So, I appreciate that. All right.
Well, if I ever go on Jeopardy and they ask the question, which NFL team has its logo on one side of the helmet, I'll be a champ.
Yes, you will, and you'll be prepared. It's funny because I didn't even know that myself. It made sense, though, once I thought about it, but yes, I was quite surprised by that. All right, we're so excited because we have a giveaway today for $100, courtesy of Skin Collaboration. $100 value, you get a massage or a facial in Beverly Hills, California. We want to appreciate them. We've got our first winner. It's Crystal Ramirez. Please raise your hands. All right, there you go. And Jackie Anders in the house. There you go. Amazing. Look at that. You are going to get your wellness on. Trust me, it's an amazing place. If you like my skin, you got to know it's from there. My husband goes. It's literally the truth. We like way more than me, the massage, because you need it, right? You need it. And every time I go back in, she says, I can tell you've been stressing your husband out. So, it's great. Honestly, thank you so much. Well, thank you so much for being with us today.
It's been my pleasure. You're a great host.
I appreciate that. We'll be right back. Well, we come to the end of another amazing episode, our second with the live audience. I want everyone to give themselves another round of applause for being so incredible. Thank you. My heart is full of gratitude. What really excites me about having the conversation about knowing the worth is that Too many people don't know their value. Not just about the things that you do, but the person that you are. I'd like to share a little story with you about my husband, Joseph. Joseph is an incredible person for those of you who have the pleasure of knowing him. He's taught our 5-year-old daughter something incredible. From an infant, he would put her in front of the mirror and he would say, I mean, we're talking 3 weeks old, 3 months old, 6 months old, and he'd say, you are beautiful, you are strong, you are courageous. And he taught her to say it in the self-affirmation. I am beautiful, I am strong, I am courageous. Now, when I heard it, I thought, wow, imagine the impact on the world, on society, if we were all raised with that belief in ourselves. And I'll tell you what's like so magnificent is that at 5.5 years old now, I watch her and she stands in the mirror and she says it, I am beautiful, I am strong, I am courageous. Wherever you are in the world today, I want you to honor your courage. And I want you to know that you're strong, not because you don't feel weak at times, but because you keep going regardless. And I want you to know that you are so beautiful. You're a beautiful miracle that the entire universe conspired to have you right here in this moment. So ladies and gentlemen, if you are not walking into a room as the beautiful freaking miracle that you are doing it wrong. So please, please do that. Do that today. And know that when you are living life unsugar-coated, and you are being part of everything that we believe you can be. So that's another episode with us. We are so looking forward to seeing you next time. Thank you for letting us be unsugar-coated.
Sharpest words wanna cut me down.